We are going to get into picks and bans. Heretics on that blue side are going to remove the Azir to kick us off. And on the red side, G2 will get rid of Varus.
So nothing too surprising here. Caps' Azir is something that many teams fear. The question is, do they want to get rid of the Orianna as well? How much focus is going to go towards that man in the mid lane? Because the reality is, as the desk was talking about, through the inconsistencies of G2, Caps is still Caps. He has been one of, if not the best performing player from the regular season.
I am also curious what happens with things like the Jarvan. It's become one of our standard bans coming through because it does, interrupt things like the Orianna or the Talia that you want to try and play in that mid lane. So I'm curious if G2 try to ban it away or if we end up seeing that kind of early rotation here from Heretics. Could be an option.
Heretics have leaned a little bit more towards the Mundo in the jungle for Sheo. He's played that. It's actually the only champion he's played more than once through LEC Versus. So we'll see if they decide to go that. They have got themselves that first pick. We'll remove the Nico as their final ban. And G2 with the Varus and the Rumble bans, nothing too surprising here as of yet.
Okay, with the Nico taken away. I mean, yesterday's series, we didn't see a huge priority on the Nico bans. It's G2 to actually take the Orianna away. Looks like Talia naturally rises in priority, so that potential for the Talia Jarvan that you were talking about. But there is the Mundo that you discussed as well, Medic. I feel like many teams have recognized the Mundo just feels like a very strong champion in the jungle. I believe it did lose yesterday, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still a very powerful champ.
Yeah, Mundo really good, especially in Teemo decks. His might is increased by the amount of cards in your trash. Super powerful unit.
The thing I'm curious about though is because, to me, this said that they feel like they're trying to bait for something like a Ryze here for Serin, because the Caps wants to try and take an Anivia into that matchup. So it could be where you're looking at, well, looks like maybe Vi and now Talia to try and take in towards that mid lane. Now that you already see that the Mundo's taken away, because as I was saying, that Jarvan kind of puts some pressure on towards the mid lane champion pool, but with both junglers in theory taken, you should now be fine.
I mean, while we do expect this to go into Sheo's hands, let's not forget the flexibility of the Mundo as well. One of its biggest assets of what we've been seeing more in the meta is utilizing these jungle flex picks. It was a big conversation yesterday, especially coming through from Na'Vi and Vitality. But now with the Ryze locked in for G2, this does mean that Serin can bring out his Cassio once again. He's already showcased it once this split, and it is a very good matchup into the Ryze as well.
Currently, Heretics taking their time about deciding if they want their Cassio immediately. The Ryze for Caps, 65% win rate on it all time, just a little bit above his 64.8% win rate through his career. There's the Anivia lock for Heretics, though. Yeah,
I'm curious if they end up going with Corki or Yunara in this situation, because with the Anivia, you kind of want more short-range champions, and things like the Aphelios that try and play into it so you can lock them down. Yunara has some range and also that dash, which can make her a little bit worse, but I think you kind of have to take the Corki. And then you can try and ban away the Yunara on the next rotation. But at least if you're a Corki, you've got that Valkyrie to kind of get around a lot of what Anivia is bringing to the fight.
It would make a lot of sense. Heretics going to look towards putting ice on something he is very comfortable on in the form of the Aphelios. It is the first Anivia ever for Serin that I can find, so he has been learning some new tricks across the course of the last split or so. G2 likely to go towards their AD carry here to make sure the AD carries don't get too pinched. The Corki is something, as you say, Rob, that could be really powerful for them.
Okay, how will the round out come through for G2? Looks like they're going to go for the Bard. I mean, Bard is exceptional into low mobility carries. Yeah. His ultimate is such a fantastic tool at locking them down, and I feel like pros over the last 2 years have, I'll say drawn inspiration from Carrier. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But ultimately, I think that he has been a fantastic demonstration of what the champion can do. And around the world, it feels like Bard players have become so good at utilizing the flexibility of the champions to create ganks, disengage from fights, save teammates, create initiations. Overall, a very versatile champ that also you can now ban away some of the difficult champions that deal with him, in particular those hook champions like Thresh and Blitzcrank.
And also just the safety tools, right? Like trying to get out of that ultimate in the Temporal Fate, which is very nice having that Lantern. I am curious though, because I think now that the Aphelios has been taken, you've still got too many options in the AD carry role where you can take Yunara, you can take a Jinx. Yep. There's not really any backline threat for something like a Jinx in this scenario as well. So I think it's now, as you can see, going to be more of a focus away from that bottom side of the map and kind of just saying, look, you're going to be fine for whatever hand Sama wants to take there, so let's focus elsewhere.
I do like the cannon ban from Heretics. If you have a good Tempered Fate, cannon just standing on top waiting for that golden to expire, and then a huge slicing mouse from across, you can cause a lot of damage. Nautilus, the next ban for G2, another hook champion into that Bard, and there's the Ezreal. Heretics trying to get rid of some of the safety that Han Summer could have in the bot lane.
I wonder if Heretics is thinking about scaling doubling down even more, going for something like the Lulu and just playing a little bit more of a range versus range bot side matchup, or whether they feel they need more engage. Blitzcrank could be something that they consider. Not the strongest combo when paired with an Aphelios, but something that can catch targets like the Bard out. G2 though hovering a few AD carry options.
If they go for the Kalista, they're really looking for, well, they're still looking for a pushing lane if they go towards the Caitlyn, trying to make sure that Ice and Stend do not have an easy time down towards that bottom side, should be able to get pushed early. And you talked about the Lulu, I wonder if Stend might look towards something like the Karma here, just to try and get some counter push.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. I think Karma would be a great pick here. You end up, as you say, having some ants in the bush, you get the movement speed as well to help out with some of the things like the Tempered Face, and just making sure that this Aphelios is significantly safer. Also, the Kennen ban says to me that maybe they're looking at something like a Renekton for Tracyn on that top side, just to try and make things a little bit easier, but no, they're just going full scaling. All they want is that big, beefy front line.
Went full scaling and didn't pick the Casio. It's kind of a flavor fail there, all around by Heretics, but I do like the Sion in the top lane, as you say. Just looking to scale, gives you good follow-up engage as well as the Mundo tries to step forward. The Sion goes in with the Unstoppable Onslaught, tries to get on towards that backline, can avoid the Tempered Fate with his own ultimate, using that Unstoppable to not have to stand still. Stend goes Pyke into this Caitlyn Bard bot lane.
I mean, I like hook champions into Bard. I think that it gives you a lot more threat in lane, but into a Caitlyn lane I think is quite ambitious. The Gwen response comes through from G2 for Broken Blade in the top lane. A good scaling matchup to answer the Sion provides G2 with fantastic side lane options later into the game. Both Ryze and Gwen can basically play away from the 5v5s, which is very much what Heretics are going to be looking for. A very stock standard front-to-back team fight scaling composition that's likely going to be looking to leverage those dragons and neutral objectives to force fights against G2.
Yeah, and I'm a little worried for Heretics in the early stages. Like, you lose top push, you lose bot side push, your Anivia kind of comes online when she hits level 6, but actually having any sort of windows to help on this bottom side of the map are going to be few and far between. And you've got a Mundo, who doesn't really bring anything when it comes to these ganks as well. So I think the most dangerous version of G2 is when you give them the tools to take over an early game, and I feel like that's exactly what we're seeing here on G2 side.
G2 looking to continue their run through playoffs. Last year didn't miss a single finals. Here the first step on that road is Heretics, who have struggled in playoffs in the past. Last year we saw them losing 3-1 to Vitality, getting knocked out of the summer playoffs. Before that, their highest placing, I mean, you have to go all the way back to summer 2023, where they finished 4th with that VTO, Flakked, Jankos, Evi, and Mercer roster. It's been a while for them. Perhaps their fine run of form at the end of the split can continue going into playoffs, but it is a mighty 7th seed that they are going to play up against.
Yeah, I mean, you don't normally expect to see G2 coming in as the 7th seed, but as you both have highlighted, it's been a very inconsistent regular season for G2. They kind of needed that win against Fnatic to lock themselves a spot in playoffs. And so now that they're here, we'll see, will it be playoff G2 or will it be regular season G2? As the laning phase kicks off and both junglers starting on the top side, pathing towards bot. Kind of what we've been seeing from pretty much every jungler in the meta right now. Top lane often left on an island. Especially, I think Broken Blade's going to be pretty happy with that as well. He just wants to sit back, scale against this Sion and have a free lane.
It does make things a little bit more interesting for Sheo, though, because I don't feel like he's going to have much control over this bottom side. So it should give G2 the option to go for that early crab, take that, and then kind of have that advantage already going on towards SkewMond. As you already said, like, I think Broken Blade should have a good time here in the top side as well. So the potential here to try and force double crab is actually there for G2.
Yeah, you can use those pushing lanes to really allow yourself an easier route through the jungle. SkewMond will be spotted on a ward as he goes over to his Razor Beaks. I don't believe Sheo's been spotted anywhere, but the expectation is that he'll just try and power farm. Mundo's so quick on his first clear. You can see already almost a full camp ahead of SkewMond on this pick. And Sheo's had a really good time on this as well. Only lost one of the 4 games that he brought it out in regular season, LEC Versus. Don't really know what to call it sometimes because I'm used to so used to saying winter. It's not winter, it's just LEC Versus, but we're still in LEC Versus. We're still in the playoffs.
Because if you looked outside, it's definitely still winter.
Yeah. One of my favorite German expressions is das ist Schnee von gestern, which means that is yesterday's snow or like yesterday's news. but it's Schneef on every targ at the moment. It's every day. It's just
Schneef on every targ.
Alles Tag or whatever. I don't know. I don't speak German, guys. I don't know why I brought it up. Let's get back into League of Legends. As Rob said, as we were building up to this match, it's been a pretty one-sided story, as Serin is going to lose the egg here. Caps with the Ghost looking for a little bit more damage as he goes in, but won't be able to take out that Anivia. Does burn the passive for now, and pretty one-sided for Caps in the mid lane, as it has been one-sided for G2 across the course of these two teams head-butting.
Yeah, I mean, all-time, Heretics has not been able to find that victory against G2, and they're looking to try and challenge that today. They've come with this composition as they fight for the crab, but he does secure the smite. And that mid lane death is one of those weird ones where you could even argue that it was tactical in a sense, just because you get all of your HP back after taking a couple of rough trades. Forces as well the Ryze to go back to base, and the wave is now in a really good spot for the Anivia, getting an early tier, so going to be pretty happy with that. Now I will say, as a small, oh hang on, this second crab.
So SkewMond does have smite, and Broken Blade's already worked his way down from the top side. I think Sheo and Serin should just back away, and it looks like that's exactly what they're doing. Sheo's smite still half the way before it's back off cooldown. SkewMond will get it, crystallize down. SkewMond takes a bit of damage in response. The root coming out is the flash forward from Sheo, looking for more damage onto SkewMond here, who does have a flash and will use it over the wall. Escapes with a cleaver, still clipping his back.
Yeah, it looked like Serin wasn't ready for the play from Sheo there, but Sheo flash in front of it. I mean, it burns the flash on SkewMond, sure, but not really any follow-up there from Heretics.
Yeah, I think that it was more of a reactive thing where Sheo saw an opportunity and he tried to force it, but I don't blame Serin for not being ready. The heal comes through.
And the bomb's going to be ignited. Magical Journey rooted, but he gets through to the other side of that portal just in time. We'll not even eat up those Caretaker's Shrine, just recalls, and we'll get back to the lane with the home guard Stend. Still looking here. Ghostwater dive forward. Bone Skewer doesn't connect onto Hansama, who can just walk away.
Trading happening across the rift right now. HP is getting lower and lower. Base wants to come through from Serin though. I will note, Anivia builds, recently from Caps specifically, he likes to do things like the Rod of Ages and to immediately start building damage. He prefers to have that Anivia online earlier. By going for the tier into the rower, you delay your damage quite significantly, but naturally it does give you better scaling, a little bit more defensiveness as well, because you do get that Seraph's shield. So we'll see how things pan out for Serin, because as you mentioned in the draft, Medic, Heretics is going full late game with this composition. They really want to slow the game down. They want to inhibit what G2 can do in the early game. So far the laning phase is pretty even across the boards, but ultimately that's the kind of game state that Heretics is looking to keep.
Small flash frost there from the Anivia. Just stopping what we were seeing, but it seems like we're back to normality, as it's a small lead for G2 in the early game. Broken Blade leading in the top lane. No real surprises there. Gwen into the Sion is a favorable matchup for the Gwen, and then Caps with a small lead in mid from the plate that he's collected.
Both junglers just have done the trick to get your smite upgraded as well, where they've reset a little late to get your one upgrade, and then they're going to take your camper SkewMond. Sheo just held on, but with Sheo going for this later reset, it does actually open up a bit of a window here for him to take Dragon, as SkewMond is still on this bot side camp.
Sheo's going to start it up. In fact, the Cleaver doing percentage HP damage means it's pretty easy for him to chunk away at it. But Caps has 6 in the Realm Warp. Serin does have his ult as well. Stend going in the Realm Warp behind as Ice looks for the damage. Labrov, once again, a Magical Journey just gets into safety. Stend looking for it. Caps goes in with the Rune Prison, the Overload. Can't quite get the damage, but in the end, he catches out the Ghostwater dive from that Pyke. Caps with the first blood of the series.
Nice play from G2 as they look for a little bit more ice, so I think he has the distance.
Voltbreaker coming out, Hansama flashing for it, looks for the build over Peacemaker and finds his man. A headshot from Hans gives G2 2 on the board.
I wasn't expecting them to get that second one, but Labrov with some fancy moves. It looked like that he was dead to rights, but just at the right time, he was able to get the portal down and escape to safety. This forced Team Heretics to overextend for that kill and put them in a tricky situation.
Yeah, and it was just a great move from Caps here. Ends up rotating now off of that mid wave and immediately Realm Warping into the position to cut off Ice from having any sort of escape route. So it Stend's now gone. Ice wants to try and take the fight forward as Sheo ends up being forced out on that top side by Hansama and SkewMond. And at this stage, Ice, I mean, it's 4 versus 1. The lad doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah, I mean, good spot out as well on that Caps Realm Warp, just because you can see how quickly Heretics just split apart. The fight became so divided, and just like that, G2 find themselves 2 early kills. No dragons secured just yet, but I expect that to be the objective that both teams will be setting their sights on soon.
Yeah, Hansama now 700 gold ahead as Broken Blade using the needlework forces Tracyn to flash away. And G2 now with that advantage on the bot side, the BF Sword Zerka's already complete for the Kate. It's going to be so much easier to get the pressure in this lane. Do need to be a tiny bit cautious because you don't have your flashes, and a good Bone Skewer into Phantom Undertow could cause you to go swimming with the fishes. But assuming G2 play it safely, they have a large advantage now.
This is what we were talking about, though, with the drafts. Like, giving G2 pushing lanes where they can rotate around the map, especially with caps, is always going to be when they're at their most dangerous. And Heretics are kind of giving them that window when they're taking fights like this. So now you're in a position with SkewMond on the bottom side. Sheo could try and go for cross map and look for those Void Grubs, but G2 should be able to start stacking these dragons now with the position that they're in.
I'll also say Void Grub's not as effective when you don't have pushing lanes.
Yeah.
It's like, you really want to be playing around these dragons, you want to be building towards team fights, because that's where Heretics composition really comes online. If you're getting the grubs and you haven't hit a tower, it doesn't really matter. Only mid lane tower has taken a plate. There's a ward here on Sheo and Stend as they look for Labrov and Hansama. Control ward in the bush, keeping Labrov safe as houses. Ice is going to move up. Labrov doesn't have that flash, but does have the magical journey. Dragon down to 3,000 as SkewMond continues to punch first and ask questions later. Sheo stepping forward now has the maximum dosage. Temper Fate connects on Ice. Sheo steals away the Drake. Sheo using that element, the flash season assist going on to Ice. He's been left to the wolves. G2 will take the kill, even if they lose the Drake.
G2 collapse well, and Heretics, they try to take the fight, but they're already behind. And with Labrov hitting the nice Tempered Fate, sets up easily for the G2 play.
I do wonder if Heretics overall still feel quite happy about this, though, because by denying the first Drake, it gives them time. Remember that this composition wants to scale, and if G2's able to stack the dragons, it puts more pressure onto Heretics.
Oh, Stend, why are you backing here? Why are you backing here? A Cosmic Binding. Stend will be able to dash across the wall, but the chase comes out from SkewMond. That was foolhardy, to say the least, from Stend.
No vision, no information. He gives over another kill. And now Hansama and SkewMond are off to the races with how accelerated they are in this early game.
And that's my biggest worry, is just 1,000 gold lead coming out of this bottom side. You still are only going to accelerate that even further with more of these plates being available on this bot end. And sure, you got a dragon, but I still think Caitlyn going to be very happy with the position they're in to just continue racking up more and more of this gold.
Yeah, I mean, that's the trade-off, right? On the one hand, just sitting there saying, hey, we got a dragon, we can potentially stall things out, we don't have to fight them for the next one or even the third one. But like, okay, what are you going to do about the Caitlyn right now? Because that Caitlyn sees your towers as pin cushions that she very much wants to take out. So in a fantastic position, Hansama's going to return to the bot lane with a 900 gold lead, quickly working towards that first completed item. And yeah, I mean, G2 now just need to leverage this early game lead they've built, 2.3k the advantage. And this is not even factoring in Broken Blade building his own lead in the top side as well. He's gotten himself about a 550 gold lead in the top lane. Very much what we expected from the Sion versus Gwen matchup, but he's going to continue to ramp up. So it's not like G2 don't have scaling options of their own. They want to be playing this 1-3-1 style and trying to play the whole map.
For Heretics, about 2.5k down, something they didn't really experience too much in the latter half of the regular season. They were actually in prime position in a lot of their games. In the last 2 weeks, they managed to go 4-1. As we see the ace in the hole coming down onto Ice. Had gold leads at 14, high grub percentage, high herald percentage. Here, they have been able to pick up those first 3 grubs and the Drake because of that Sheo seal, but in terms of gold lead, it is not looking too sprightly.
And I think a lot of that was because we saw Heretics, finding windows to play around this bottom side, getting Ice into a position where he could be the carry. And I think that's kind of the idea with this composition as well is, hey, we're going to have you on Aphelios, a very comfort champion for Ice, and have you scale into the later portions of the game. But I think what's missing is those same tools from Heretics to try and enable plays around this bottom side, or even like the likes of the Orianna that we've seen paired with this Mundo so frequently for Heretics that kind of sets up for these flash plays with Sheo at Dragons.
I also think that, I mean, this is a bit of just me speculating more than anything, but it feels like in best of ones, scaling just has an inherent advantage because people understand that a loss holds more weight. But in the best of threes, I feel like especially good teams are a little bit more willing to take those risks and trust that if things go wrong, there are ways in the series for you to come back. And so this constant scaling approach, I don't think is as reliable, at least in the LEC, just because teams are willing to be more aggressive and take more risks. And so far for G2, a lot of the skirmishes, a lot of this aggression is paying off.
And I think, well, I was just going to agree with you, Vedi. Like, the reason we're seeing this pay off for G2 is because they're going, hey, we have a pushing lane, let's make plays.
Oh, ice clipped by the Tempered Fate. A snap trap underneath his feet. Immediately uses the Moonlight Vigil with the Severum to try and heal himself up, and it is enough. Good rotation of the guns, but with the Realm Warp coming in, Ice now needs to dodge the ace in the hole. Caps going forward, doesn't tank the tower. Labrov does instead, takes a couple of tower shots. Hansama gets the headshot for the shutdown, and Caps will get another 6-0 now, G2.
Great roam from Caps to help out on the play, making sure they're able to solidify the kills, more plates, and you've even got SkewMond covering that mid push as well, so they don't overall lose out too much on the play.
This is classic old school Caps, the man that spent very little time in mid lane and more time roaming around the map. He gets a nice round warp in. You can see he pushes in that mid wave, moves into the fog of war. There is that ward that's supposed to spot him, but I don't actually think it sees him move into the... I mean, they even ping it out, so he's able to sidestep it. Heretics take that chunk of damage and just overall great coordination between both the bot lane and mid lane to say, hey, I'm going to chunk Ice down, even if he lives, you've got the ulti, right? Cap says, yes, I come, I make the play, they get 2 kills.
Also, nice use of the Ghost. So pops the Ghost as he teleports in, so he's able to get in, get the root, and still step out of tower range before Stend is able to CC him. So just really overall nicely played by Caps.
And now with the role quests done, this Caitlyn is unlocked on the map. Hansama's moving over towards mid lane. Ice yet to complete that. I imagine he will be done relatively soon, but that small advantage that Hans has, he can quickly accelerate this to the rest of the map.
G2 playing really well through their bot side so far in the game. Heretics unlikely to pressure for this Drake. I say that as Sheo steps straight into the face of Caps. Will lose his passive, goes where he pleases, means that he will be CC'd next time. Labrov with the magical journey out, the Ignite ticking on him. Meanwhile, Ice is not moving from the mid lane. Drake secured for G2. Heretics still poking and prodding and putting their nose where G2 don't want it to be. BB moved to mid to keep that wave pushed in, and Tracyn will just ult his way back towards top to get the wave under town.
I think you're seeing one of the biggest strengths of Mundo is his ability to just not care.
Yeah.
He will quite happily walk into space that you control and force you to make a decision. You can see that he bullied Caps off that tri-brush, but he couldn't quite get enough space because his Aphelios does not feel strong enough to take that fight. And so while Heretics postured quite well and he put some decent pressure down onto G2, ultimately it is still a dragon secure for G2.
Yeah, and I think you're kind of seeing G2 fall back into old habits that were good for them, which is just how do you use your waves to get into positions that make it untenable for Heretics to really do much. Broken Blade pushed top, went to cover mid, fought against the Aphelios, and the Aphelios were like, well, now I can't actually roam, so it's 3 versus 4 on Dragon. Good luck, lads. And I think this is where, again, G2 are just so good.
Sheo's going to try and chase down Caps here. There's the Heartsteel proc, nice clonk for him, an Infected Cleaver landing, Tempered Fate coming out, Caps almost steps to the side of it. Labrov's going to put a Magical Journey in, look for that Cosmic Binding, but can connect onto Sheo as he goes to the other side of the wall. Death from below, dodged by Caps. Labrov gets the kill, but now Caps in the Glacial Storm will fall. Stend needs to be ushered out here by Serin, and will do so with that Flash Frost getting the stun.
Fancy footwork from Caps on that one to actually get the kill back onto Sheo, and Labrov coming in just in the nick of time. But yeah, you gotta see this. This Mundo's a little scary.
Yeah, I mean, it ends up being a 1-for-1 trade, but the gold goes the way of G2. Plate secured in top lane, a Herald is secured as well. Tracyn knows that he's on a very difficult, in a very difficult situation. Serin at the very least will get some plates back. He gets a kill, and he'll close that gold. I mean, he'll even gain a gold advantage over Caps, which is very much needed for this Anivia, but mid lane falling as well. So a good skirmish for Heretics. Goes 1-for-1, but the goal difference, I mean, it still goes the way of G2.
Yeah, I mean, 2.3k gold on Hansama now. This Caitlyn is absolutely accelerated, and it's not like she falls off that much in the late game either. So I think for G2, this is where you're just going to be focused on how do we try and enable Hansama to be a menace in these fights and keep up this pressure. And with now having full push relatively well on mid lane, as long as the Infernum gun isn't up for Aphelios, you can start to shift this pressure into side lanes and now play off of 2 very strong solo lanes as well.
Remind me, Medic, I believe it's tap deal might equal to her might to a targeted battlefield, I believe is Caitlyn.
Sure.
You're supposed to know this,
I can't recall.
You're locked in.
It's Caitlyn.
I was going to make a joke. How mighty do you think the Caitlyn is?
Pretty damn mighty right now as Serin's going to get caught up in the Tempered Fate. G2 looking to collapse on a play that was started by Heretics. Cosmic Binding not landing the stun, but Serin, even with his egg, is going to get chased down. The egg in the middle of 4. Hansama comes across just for the assist, and G2 get another.
I mean, Heretics should want to avoid fighting at all costs. Their game plan should be cross-mapping, trading gold, avoiding skirmishes. They're just playing into G2's hand, and G2's like, with pleasure, absolutely. Every skirmish is going their way. 8-1 the kill score.
You get the Herald on the bottom side, Campsi's all the way. SkewMond might have overextended though. Has the flash.
Goes back in onto Sheo. SkewMond down to a third HP. Sheo around the same as the chase comes in from Labrov and Hans Summer. Sheo trying to walk his way out of this one with the maximum dosage, but he can't heal up enough. G2 now 9-1 up on the scoreboard.
He put back on his nicest suit before he went down there. And now Cap's still pushing on this bottom side as well. You got push in mid. Like, they keep trying to make plays, but G2 just able to escape.
I mean, it's a situation where you called it out in draft, Dagda. G2 have winning lanes across the board. And if that's the case, they're gonna leverage it.
They're gonna use it.
And I mean, and credit to Heretics, yes, you did get that first dragon. And I sat there and said, well, maybe this could be a good thing because you know that you can then stall the game out. You don't have to contest. But then they contested the second dragon. They continue to contest in the river. And every time they've contested G2, it's just been more kills going to G2.
And that's what you were saying. Like, the value of getting that first dragon is you can cross map. So you can then go, oh, Aphelios, you go top when Dragon's up.
Exactly.
We'll then get tower and gold on you. But that's not what we're seeing.
I don't think Labrov's missed the tempered base so far. Flash of the Cosmic binding as well for the follow-up. BBT being in. Serin's going to try and get his way out, but it's a damn frosty evening, and G2 will pick up another kill.
BB just really wanted to get on the board there. TP'd in to get a kill. It's like, lads, you're having too much fun without me. 10-1. A massive gold lead for G2. And he's going to be able to get this tier 2 in the bottom lane as well, because there's just not enough people on the map for Heretics right now.
And look at that KP for Labrov. He's been involved in 9 of the team's 10 kills. He's had a spectacular Bard performance. And, I mean, it's nothing but domination here in this first game. 19 minutes in. The gold lead is 8K, if I'm reading that right. 10 kills to 1. Like, systematic destruction. And I think... yeah, Heretics, their approach to this game has been too passive, and they've tried to take fights when they just haven't been strong enough, and it's resulted in a serious snowball for G2.
Heretics is trying to find anything they can on the map right now. They'll get a top tower as Sheo is looking for Broken Blade, but that's a Dusk and Dawn and a Riftmaker Gwen, specifically built to work her way through the tanks of the Sion and the Mundo. Sheo doesn't want to stay around for too long. G2 using the pressure they have from bot to look for these plays, but now with a TP behind, perhaps the Caps on the other side of the map, Heretics can look for something. Stend takes half his health. Bolt Breaker almost gets SkewMond out, but he's blocked with the root. Sheo going for more as they all collapse onto Labrov. He dies. Death from below coming out from Stend gets themselves a little bit more gold. It's Sheo who shares the purse, so he'll be able to go back and pick himself up something nice and shiny.
So Heretics are able to get the pick and relieve some of that pressure, especially with Baron up and available. It means that you're not able as G2 to start getting some of these towers knocked down and continue to put pressure onto Sheo's jungle, forcing him to fall further behind. But still, you kind of need a few more of these if you want to actually start getting tempo into your lead.
Absolutely, and one of the things now is G2's just going to play the side. Like, look at how deep Caps is pushing in the top lane. It's very difficult. Stendy should be able to get out of this one. Right? Yeah, he should be fine.
I mean, Broken Blade can chase for days. Crystallize comes out from
He's
Serin.
still chasing. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine now.
But this is what I mean. Look at how deep Broken Blade is. 1v2, he's saying, I don't care. Look at Caps on the minimap as well, on the top lane, pushing that in. Mid is also pushed, and Labrov is going to use this to move into enemy jungle, drop wards down wherever he needs to, and it's just full map coverage and control for G2 right now.
And G2 are so strong.
Stend locked up. Tries to get away, but Labrov follows him with the auto attack, and G2 get another.
Did he go between the wolves to bind him? Like, he rooted Stend
was that
using the wolves.
Was it with the wolves? I thought it was SkewMond just with the knockup. I'd have to look at it again, and I don't think we're going to have a chance because Ice is dead in the mid lane. The Temper Fate didn't connect, but the rest of G2 immediately collapsed. And for Heretics, it's looking pretty grim, lads. SkewMond going for more onto Sheo. Hans Summer opening up. Maximum dosage coming out from the Mundo. Serin takes almost half his health from a single headshot out of that Caitlyn.
I was going to say, this is where G2 are basically hitting their stride. You've got 2 items completed with the Infinity Edge now for Ansama. Caps has 2. Dusk and Dawn completed on Broken Blade. Like, they are feeling themselves right now. And Stend is about to get us.
This is your tank who's trying to step up, being beaten back by a Bard and a Vi. Like, yes, it's Black Cleaver Sundered Sky, but that Bard only has a locket.
I mean, G2 have just stayed mid, taken everything that they wanted. Remember that this play started by them killing Ice. Ice is now back. And then they've stuck around.
It started by them killing
like,
Stend.
oh, yeah,
and then they killed Ice.
Yes, you're
and then
completely
Stend
right.
came back.
And now it's going to be a Baron. Systematic destruction by G2. The gold lead continues to grow. We'll look back. Oh, we're actually going to get to see. I'm convinced that Labrov actually connects the binding. Look, Wolf.
Oh, yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
Beautiful Bard play there. And Labrov deserves that kill, absolutely. They then converted into a tower dive underneath this tier 2. Ice has nowhere to go.
What do you do though, man?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I dodged the Tempered Fate. Cease and desist,
play
Gwen.
safe.
You should have played safe, bro.
Oh,
You should have played safe, man. Come on.
And then Serin just takes a chunk of damage off of Caitlyn. She is so strong right now.
Yeah, I mean, I wish there was more to break down, but really we're just commentating G2 slaughter Heretics in this first game.
Heretics are breaking down. We don't need another one.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right now, this is just a one-sided affair, kill after kill. Ultimately, it all comes back, and Rob and I were already talking about it earlier. If you're going to play this much scaling, you have to constantly avoid your opponents. It is all about creating numbers on one side of the map and cross-mapping. If they go for Dragon, you go for Grubs. If they go for Herald, you go for Dragon. If they go bot, you go top. You should be avoiding skirmishes and finding picks wherever you can, because G2, they want to play the map. They want to split you up, and what you're seeing on your screen right now, no 5v5s. It is not a front-to-back team fight. It is G2 going for pick after pick after pick, leveraging the strength of their comp, which is we excel in the 2v2s and the 3v3s.
And it means the Heretics constantly have to overload and find picks. And as long as SkewMond gets out, well, Caps now has access to the bot lane turret. So as Heretics, you have to disappear.
Temper Fate onto Serin, caught out by Labrov, flashes away from the Cosmic Binding that may or may not have landed the stun.
Look at bot lane.
Not, it does, as you say, look at bot lane. Caps pushing in and Heretics using that as their opportunity to engage, but as soon as the unstoppable onslaught comes out, look at the CC chain on Tracyn. TP behind now with cease and desist onto that backline. Stend knocked back, Summer chases out the Sion. Meanwhile, Serin is going to fall in the middle of the fight into that egg and then scrambled up by G2.
A desperation play from Heretics as they tried their best to create a 4v3 in the top lane. The whole map is falling apart. Caps is going to get an inhibitor. He's going to use the Baron-empowered minions to deal damage onto these inhibitor towers. And as Ice tries to wave clear, that opens up the top lane.
We were so close, guys. If this game had ended in 6 seconds time, it would have been the fastest of LEC Versus. They're not going to have that accolade to put on their mantelpiece, but G2 have systematically destroyed Heretics here in game 1, pushing towards the Nexus at 24.5 minutes. Broken Blade pulled in, but just dashes away, and G2, in such rapid fashion, just wipe away the Heretics. The Nexus down to half. Sheo uses his ultimate, a Tempered Fate into the Snapchat, takes out Ice, thaws him out right at the end. G2 1-0.